that's a little odd.
So there's basically no requirement in the legislation to report specifically on counterfeit electronics.
Several people have talked about, do I know what the risk is involved?
Lawsuits do happen.
What if you have a counterfeit? What do you do?
What goes on in Vegas definitely doesn't stay in Vegas.
We would like to welcome you. We're very excited about the event that we put together for you this year. We put a lot of time and thought into the challenges that we know all of you are facing and the concerns that you have relative to HR 1540 and the National Defense Authorization Act, Section 818, and the impact that that's going to have on the supply chain.
Companies don't go to jail. Individuals go to jail.
Gosh forbid you end up having a dispute to try and keep you out of the litigation program that will ultimately cost you a lot of money.
In each case, there were escalations of the counterfeiter knowing what we were looking for and then moving forward to the next step.
You're looking at what's the latest trend? What is a particular counterfeit doing today versus 6 months from now?
We don't want to put ourselves into a situation where we're going to self-certify.
It's been a great show so far, very informative. Crystal and the ERAI did a great job putting it on. The breakout sessions are very informative, and it's always good to keep your pulse on what's going on in the industry.
I hate the counterfeiters. You know, they have done nothing but add cost to my business, and I will do everything I can to mitigate risk to my customers.
More of a proactive approach to maintaining your systems and identifying problems before they occur.
Calculate that all out, and you only get 32 parts an hour. And if we do one at a time, we get this down to 34 cents.
So we have suspect, fraudulent, and counterfeit.
I think it's good that we do a risk assessment. I just don't know the legal way of doing it right now.
We eventually went to a mediation, and we did a settlement. And out of the $700,000 or so that was probably owed to the end user, our client only had to pay $7,000.
The counterfeiters will often sand off the label area of the part.
You have to create a continual improvement plan.
Fantastic information, lots of showcasing of new materials and content, and all in all a great day.
How come it's going to cost me $3 or $4, maybe even $10 to test this part, when the whole part itself, back when the manufacturer sold it, only cost like 30 cents?
So things that are now part of our algorithms are ROHS and REACH, because that affects kind of the life cycle of the part.
This is just the tip of the iceberg, and that we're getting ready to really see some significant challenges in the supply chain.
I've seen a broad range. I've seen some customer sites that have been unbelievable, really prepared, great plan, a lot of centralization of their open market purchases, and then we've seen some places that really have a lot of work to do.
And it turned out that those chips that had come from an extraordinarily reputable chip manufacturer in Japan were mismarked. There was a problem with those chips.
If you spend some money, you want to make sure you're spending it in a wise fashion. You also have to be very confident that you're going to get a return back on that money.
I think the conference is fantastic. You know, it's a really good use of my time. I learned a lot today about the different processes and tools we could use to put a process in place to comply with the government requirements, to keep us out of trouble in audits and things like that. I learned about a huge amount of content that's available on the subject. I didn't really realize there was that content that could be merged in from a component part level, content that could be merged in from an industry level. So it was really exciting for me. I thought it was a really good use of my time.
I'm not going to spend very much time at all trying to convince you there's a counterfeit problem, because I know you know that or you wouldn't be here.
There is some legislation in the House that's supposed to ban e-waste.
They have to seek reimbursements or other types of damages, then we're going to be able to collect from you.
Same old pressures that made your job hard 10 years ago are still there. But now, you know, you can't afford even a single counterfeit scheme. And you know, that's a hard shift. That's a lot of change for an industry in this short of a period of time.
I represent a lot of medical device, medical technology companies. That's a highly regulated industry.
That means you literally have to have a human being put the part in the socket, and if you're doing temperature testing, you have to blow the air, and then you have to wait until it gets to temperature, and then you can do your test.
With all the growth that's taking place in China, they actually can produce their own e-waste.
We've tried to address this issue from every perspective. We want to address it from your sales and purchasing teams, your quality teams, obviously executive management. So I hope you find this to be a worthwhile event for you to walk away from your business and spend some time with us.
Those are all great ideas. How practical are they? Are they cost effective?
And what we're seeing here is that there's been a consistent 25% increase in the growth of counterfeits.
So far, I think the show has been great. A lot of great information, very informative. Just a great way to keep up with the way times that come around and keep it up with the industry and keep your customers safe, basically. So enjoyed it a lot.
How do you handle the differences in the requirements that, you know, different customers will come to you? You know, it's like you've got 50 customers, so they're going to have to slicing it 50 different ways.
Yes.
How do you handle? How do you?
Okay. It's a pineapple. Anyway. One thing that we have an internal, what we call a customer profile.
The buyer of that part may not even know what it's being used for.
IDEA was the idea, no pun intended, of Crystal Snyder. It was her that approached independent distribution and talked to folks and said, you guys need an organization of your own.
An opportunity to have just interaction and share ideas and thoughts. And again, to think outside of the box.
I think it's just a strong message for everybody to engage, talk to everyone, be supportive, and really work through this together.
I know companies that say, if this part is reported to ERAI, or if the supplier is, we have a whole process for either we avoid them altogether, we force ourselves to pursue redesign as an option where we can, or maybe we do 100% testing, where we have maybe a graded testing process.
This is a great convention. I flew in here a 15-hour flight from Israel, and it's absolutely incredible the way that this is combining the networking opportunities and the professional inputs that we're getting 360 degrees from all participants in the industry, suppliers, OEMs, brokers, test houses, professionals, etc. Really amazing experience, and I hope to be here next year as well.
In 6081, we felt that we had to cut it off at decal.
If at all possible, whenever possible, if the customer knows the use of that component, it should be disclosed to the supplier.
We think it's very important in this environment to have a continuous learning approach.
It's a very small market that we are closing in on, and it's very great to be right in contact with everybody else who's doing the same work.
There's still that possibility that an order can get placed with a supplier that's untrusted. We've seen it happen in the past, and we always really specify to them, have controls so that orders cannot even be entered with your untrusted sources.
One of the things that I think is important to emphasize here this week is that we need to have our voice, and we still have a little time to voice our concerns to our government as they are drafting this legislation. We need to be very careful what we put down in writing, because there could certainly be some unintended consequences.
We do our best to find out information about where parts came from.
When you're issuing a purchase order, do you disclose that it's going into a military application? Well, you better.
The conference has been tremendous for electronics. This is our second year exhibiting, and certainly going to do it again. From the content side, IHS did a tremendous job speaking about their bomb management tools, data sheets, cross-reference functionality. We're really excited to see what they might have to offer when they integrate everything in the next 6 to 12 months.
In general, the supply chain, in my view, is really reacting well.
So what's happened is there's a cycle. I call it from consumerism to e-waste. So as people are getting more and more of these tablets, cell phones, laptops, what's happening is they're going into e-waste.
Parts are recirculated, recycled. You know, there's so many statistics. Last year, I think it was the Defense Microelectronics activity presented on some stats that were in the high 70s and 80s in terms of people re-binning and not tracking what's in the bins that they have for parts.
By forming trusted partnerships, I believe we will come out stronger, and I hope that we can all move forward and think positive to the future.
I think it's very informative, and we're happy to hear all the different individuals here from various companies and that. I think it's a great show, a great conference.
As an exhibitor here, I think the attendance is great, and we've got a lot of good leads out of the show, so we're very happy.
You know, it's great that in 2 days you meet so many people have so much to offer. We're going to change a slogan that I think you all know. What happens in Vegas does not stay in Vegas. We are basically training the trainers here. There's a lot of folks that could not attend because this was sold out. So we are asking you to take back this information to your companies, to your supply chains.
You need to know your suppliers, and you need to go to your suppliers' places of business, and you need to look at the processes that they have in place.